Hey guys, J-Man here with another comic book review. Today we're going to be talking about Beware the Eye of Odin. We're actually going to talk about the whole thing. I'm going to review the entire thing at once. I did not realize that this was the final issue, at least of this part of it. I don't know if they're going to continue this on. I think the entire series has the same artists and stuff. So it's Doug Wagner, who's the writer. Tim Odland is the artist. Michelle Madsen colors. Ed Dukeshire as with the letters, and Erica Schnatz design. So I apologize if I ruined anyone's name. My real name gets ruined all the time. That's why I use J-Man. I'm not putting my real name because it's butchered all the time. It's brutal. It's a Croatian last name. No one gets it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Beware the Eye of Odin. So I only have issue 4. I actually figured out that this is a comic that I desperately needed when I was at the comic shop. Now, normally I have obviously I have a pull list, and if it's not on my pull list, I don't really get it. Now, the last few months have been pretty a bit stressful, so I've been getting my pull list. I've kind of walked into the comic shop, get my pull list, and go. This was the first time this week, or last week, I guess, was the first time I had a chance to actually browse a bit. And I saw this, I thought, wow, this looks awesome. I'm like, Odin, I love Viking stuff. I love He-Man kind of things, barbarians, all that stuff. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. And I hated Thor, Love and Thunder. So I'm like, I need a Viking thing or some barbarian thing to get me excited again. And this looked like it was going to fill the void. So I grabbed issue 4 and I thought, you know what, let me get the other 3 digital so I can just read them. So I read them, and I read number 4 almost in about 2 days. So almost in basically 2-3 sittings at the most. And I loved it. I thought, let me share my thoughts. I don't know how popular this book is. Doug Wagner is a known name. So I've seen him around before. I think he did some World of Warcraft stuff. I'm not too sure. This is just a fresh take. I didn't really research anything. I usually don't research for my videos. I just want to talk about the book. I'm kind of a big fan of reviewing the work and not the person, because I think what happens a lot of times is that if you start talking about the creators too much and you start investigating them, you either find things that, you didn't like in the past, or you're just like, oh, this person, fights with fans. You know how it is now with Twitter and all this stuff. Everyone's fighting each other, and no, you suck, you're an idiot, you're this and that. I don't like getting involved in that at all, really. I don't like knowing the people too much, so I don't do a lot of research. I read the book and then I tell you my thoughts. I think it's a fair way to evaluate it. That way I'm evaluating the work. I'm not tainted by anything anybody says or does through their social media platforms or in other things. Okay, that said, I also don't... Sometimes I'll show digital content because I do have these on the iPad, 1, 2, and 3. But when possible, I like to present the book itself and show you pages like from the book. I know it's not exactly the done thing right now. A lot of people have JPEGs or scans that they'll kind of display while they talk. That's awesome, and I love that kind of stuff. For me, I'd rather just have the book in my hand so I can kind of flip through it and talk to you about it as I flip through it. I just feel that it's more natural. I'm a bit of an old school guy. I love digital content. I have Comixology, obviously. I buy digital comics all the time, like literally all the time. But when possible, for review purposes, I do like to show the book if I can. I used to show a lot of iPad stuff before, but I'm trying to get away from that. And I only did that because it was X-Men and there were so many books. Anyway, I'm rambling on here. It's been too long already. Okay, so I'm going to use my SPACE review method. That stands for story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. Each one of those categories gives a score between 0 and 2. 2 is the best. So if you get a 2 out of 2 for story, 2 out of 2 for pacing, 2, 2, 2, you get 10 out of 10 comic. Now, by my rating system, if you get a 1 in every category, a 1 means it's good. So a 0 means it's garbage. 1 means it's good, right? 2 means it's fantastic. So when you get to, a 5 out of 10 comic, that doesn't mean it's trash. That means it's good. Look, 5 and 6 out of 10, that probably means it's a good read. You read the book, you pass the time, you're good to go. If you're getting like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, that's into the category of you really should be buying this comic. You should have it in your hand, add it to your collection. It's going to be something that you're going to want to have. When you're getting into the 9s and 10s, that's something where you definitely want to have this in your collection. You probably are going to read it a couple of times, okay? And another thing I want to mention is that this book that I review, as same with other comics, I review this against itself. So what that means is that if I gave it, like recently I read Gunslinger, I caught up on Gunslinger, and I gave it like a 9 out of 10 or something, right? Okay, so that doesn't mean, like let's say Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen or something like that, or Giant Size X-Men, those are the kinds of ones I always go to. Let's say that's a 10 out of 10 comic, right? So if Dark Knight Returns is 10 out of 10 and I gave Gunslinger a 9 out of 10, that doesn't mean that I'm saying that it's almost as good as the Dark Knight Returns. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that for a Spawn comic, for the art you get, for the story you get, Gunslinger is a 9 out of 10. It's the best value you can get for your money if you're looking to buy Spawn-related books. So if you're looking for a Viking book where there's monsters and adventure, then that's the score that I'm going to give this. How well did it give you what you wanted? That is how the score works, okay? So if I give 10 out of 10 to something, that doesn't mean it's better than Watchmen, right? Even the categories. So let's start with the story. The story of this, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 2, which means the story is good. Obviously, it's not anything fantastically groundbreaking. There's basically 3 characters, and they're going, Helgi, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, has the eye of Odin, and he needs to return it to the Frost Giants. That's the story. This, now it's told in a very good way, so that's why it is getting a 1. I would almost give it a 1.5, but it is pretty standard. It's a very standard story. But the strengths of this book come from the other categories, which we're going to get into. But yeah, that's the story. He's got a couple of friends to back him up. He has a Valkyrie, and he has this guy with one arm who's like a friend of his. He's the older guy. I'll show you the character. Once we get to the characters portion, I'll talk more about them. So yeah, anyways, so that's the story. It's very, very basic, but it is in line with sort of like Viking adventures and things like that. What I liked about this is on the first or second page of book 1, which I do have. I called my comic shop. They have issues 1, 2, and 3. They're holding on to them. So when I go this week, I will get 1, 2, and 3. So that's why I'm only got number 4 to show you. But in the first or second page, the main character is talking about how his father told him all these tales of frost giants and monsters and all that. And he's like, I thought it was all fake, but it's not. It's real. I was like, yes, I'm so happy to know that it was real. I hate when they say, oh, all that stuff's fake and you don't see any monsters. Okay, so let's get into the pacing. These books are quite thick. They're, I think, like 40-something pages, and they cost $4.99. So it's on the higher end, but it actually costs the same as sort of like Action Comics and Detective Comics. And I actually think that the quality of this is better than those books. And I think you get more pages in those books. I do collect Action Comics in physical form. I don't think you get as many pages, and you definitely don't get the great story that you're getting out of this, that's for sure. Like the Action Comics story, I would give it like a 0.5 out of 2. But this is well paced. I'm going to give the pacing a 2 out of 2, a perfect score for pacing. The reason I'm giving it a perfect score is that they're page turners, man. There's a lot of action going on, and there's a constant forward movement in this comic that you feel like stuff is happening. Like even if I showed you issue 4 here, it starts out and they're already battling people, okay? And it just gets right. It's like battle, right? It's just, you know, the battles are epic, right? And there's like big, like, yeah, I'll get to the artistry in a minute. It's just big, huge battles. So it's awesome. It's just awesome. All right. So for the artistry, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2. So again, I'm not saying that this is better than Jack Kirby or this is better than Alex Ross or something like that. That's not what 2 out of 2 means. What 2 out of 2 means, how well does this art, panel arrangement, kind of flow, covers, how does this all compare to what you would want out of a Viking comic? And I think this suits it well. Like, look at the trolls, man. The trolls are wicked. And like even the covers are pretty awesome. Like this just looks like something fun, you know what I mean? To me, the art is great. The panels are awesome. I feel like there's a lot of like energy going on. Like look at this. Good splash pages, right? There's not really any panels that are useless. I mean, there is this, so it's a white page, but there's a point to this, so I won't really say what it is. It's important, and it's only one page. So even though that's a white blank page, it's not really a wasted page. Like you could say it's a 1.5 for art, but that's just one out of an entire 4 issues, which all the art is fantastic. I think it's amazing. The characters, I'm going to give the characters a 1 out of 2. The reason I'm giving them a 1 out of 2 is that the villains, there's not really any villains. There's just the 3 characters. The 3 characters are all really good. The main guy, Helgi, is a really cool guy. I just like him. He's typical kind of guy on a mission, leader, that kind of a thing. There's, I think, Steiger or Steger is, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. That's this fellow here with the 1 arm. He's your big hardened soldier. He only has 1 arm. He literally gets like this anvil and puts it on a chain and uses that to swing as his weapon. And it's freaking awesome, man. He's a great character. He's got a lot of heart and he's got a lot, you know. And then Catalin, who is this girl here, she's really cool. She keeps saying that she's a Valkyrie, and she has the Valkyries on her side and all that. So she's a great character. She's a bit eccentric in the beginning, and they don't know about her. They're like, yeah, she's a bit weird, but they kind of grow to like her. And I think she's a great character. So the 3 heroes are amazing. The reason it's not getting higher than a 1 is that the characters are awesome. And I would consider buying figures of these characters if they ever did figures, but there isn't really any villains. And there's no one villain that's really cool. It's just random trolls. So for that, I am going to ding it because villains are important. Like I would probably buy a couple of troll creatures just to have them fight, but there isn't really a strong villain at all. There is no villain. It's an adventure comic. So I know villains don't play a part in it, but still I got to give it a rating, and a 1 out of 2 still means it's good. Okay, so we gave the story a 1, we gave the pacing and artistry 2 and 2, we gave the characters 1. And so now we're on the enjoyment factor. The enjoyment factor is just giving a score between 0 and 2 based on your enjoyment of it. You don't have to think about it. Did you love this? Would you recommend it? Would you buy it? Would you, buy toys if they made toys? I'm going to say yes, 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 yes. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2 for enjoyment. I loved this series. This is an 8 out of 10 series, which means that you should have this in your collection. You should buy this. It's very close to a 9. I would, even though it's an 8, I would still read it again. And I definitely would buy figures if they made them. And I would definitely get another series if it came down to it. So I didn't really spoil anything too much in this, but it is really cool, and it ends in a good way that you want it to continue. So yeah, congratulations to Doug Wagner, writer, and the artist and everything. They did a fantastic job on this series. I had no knowledge of it at all. I completely randomly picked it up because I thought, I need some Viking stuff in my life right now. And this is, I was watching The 100 from the Future, which is not Vikings, but it's, I love that. So we've been doing streams on that movie and other space opera kind of style movies. And I just felt like I really needed an adventure, and this gave it to me. I think this is highly recommended. If someone was to say this is a 9 out of 10, I would say, yep, I would not argue that point. If someone thought it was a 10 out of 10, I might even say, you know what, man, there's a lot of enjoyment in this. I have to be a little bit more critical. I have to be a bit more picky because I am posting a review, but an 8 out of 10 means it's stellar. You should own this, guys. Buy it. Buy the whole thing. There's a trade coming out. If you missed out on the issues, not to worry. Get the trade. It's 100% worth it. I think this trade is going to be a gift to some of my friends for Christmas because it was so good. If you need a go-to Christmas present, if the trade comes out in time, I don't know. Actually, I think it says here it comes out. December 14th. Paperback. So there you go. December 14th. It comes in time for Christmas. Get it for your friends. Get it for yourself. It's awesome. Okay, guys, I want to let everyone know that we are doing a Spawn stream on Thursday, so the last Thursday of this month, and we're going to talk about all the Spawn comics that had come out prior to this. So looking forward to doing that. Please join us on that stream. We're going to be taking audience questions, and if you really want to get involved, I'll actually have you come on the stream live, just audio only, doesn't have to be video. If you want to talk about Spawn, definitely come on. We also do live streams in general where we mostly allow people, and sometimes we don't, depends on the topic. But yeah, this Tuesday I'll be talking about wrestling. I do a wrestling stream, and then on Thursday will be the Spawn stream, and on Friday we're going to be doing our space opera, which is we've been doing these movies where we put them against each other. So this week's movies are going to be Metal Storm versus Space Hunter. So that's what's coming this Friday. That'll be this Friday. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, get this book. It's awesome. That's it. That's all I've got to say. All right, guys, until next time.